It was a chilly autumn morning when Clara, my daughter-in-law, handed me my son Max's jacket with a casual smile. "Could you wash this for me? It's got a bit of dirt from his meeting yesterday," she said, her voice light and trusting. I didn't think twice. After all, I had always helped with little things like this. It was part of being family, or so I believed. I took the jacket, feeling the familiar fabric between my fingers. Max loved this jacket. It was his favorite, the one he wore when he wanted to look sharp but still feel comfortable. The soft leather sleeves, the worn collar, the faint scent of his cologne still lingering. It all reminded me of the boy he once was and the man he was becoming. As I prepared to wash it, I reached into the pocket to check for tissues or coins, and that's when I found it. A small folded piece of paper, tucked deep inside the lining. My heart skipped a beat, curiosity mixed with a sudden wave of unease. What could it be? A forgotten note? A receipt? Or something more? I unfolded the paper carefully, my hands trembling slightly. The words written there were not what I expected. They were a secret that would unravel everything I thought I knew about my son and Clara. The note was brief but chilling. It hinted at lies, betrayal, and a hidden truth that had been kept from me for months, maybe even years. The handwriting was unfamiliar, hurried, almost desperate. It spoke of meetings in secret, of money exchanged under the table, and warnings to stay silent. I sat down, the jacket still in my hands, feeling a storm of emotions, shock, confusion, hurt, and a desperate need to understand. How could they keep this from me? Why would they hide such a thing in a jacket pocket, as if hoping I would never find it? And most importantly, what did it mean for our family? I knew I couldn't ignore it. I had to find out the truth, no matter how painful it might be. That day marked the beginning of a journey, one filled with secrets, confrontations, and revelations that would change everything. I tried to calm my racing thoughts as I folded the note back and slipped it into my purse. I needed to be careful. If Clara or Max found out I had discovered this, who knew what would happen? I had to tread lightly. Later that afternoon, I called my closest friend, Diane. She had always been my sounding board, the one I trusted with my deepest fears and hopes. I told her about the note, about the strange feeling that something was terribly wrong. Diane listened quietly, then said, "You have to be careful, Eve. Sometimes the people closest to us hide the darkest secrets. But you're strong. You'll get through this." Her words gave me a flicker of courage, but the knot in my stomach tightened. That evening, I watched Max from a distance as he came home from work. He looked tired but happy, laughing with Clara as they entered the house. The sight should have warmed my heart, but instead it filled me with dread. What was hidden beneath those smiles? I decided to wait until the next day to confront Clara. I needed more information, more proof. I started paying closer attention to their interactions, their phone calls, and the little things that didn't add up. The next morning, Clara asked me again to wash Max's jacket. This time I hesitated. "Clara, is everything all right?" I asked gently. She smiled, but there was a flicker of something in her eyes, nervousness, maybe guilt. "Of course, Mom, why do you ask?" I didn't answer. Instead, I took the jacket and slipped the note back into the pocket, pretending nothing was wrong. Over the next few days, I began discreetly investigating. I reached out to a private investigator friend, hoping to uncover the truth without alerting Clara or Max. The pieces started to come together. Secret meetings, unexplained expenses, whispered phone calls. One evening, I found myself alone in the living room, the jacket on my lap, the note burning a hole in my heart. I realized that the family I thought I knew was built on lies. I was torn between love for my son and the fear of what Clara might be hiding. The weight of the secret pressed down on me, but I knew I couldn't keep it to myself any longer. I had to confront them. The morning after I found the note, I woke up with a knot in my stomach. The weight of what I had discovered pressed heavily on my mind. I knew I couldn't keep this secret any longer, not from Max, not from Clara, and certainly not from myself. But how do you confront the people you love with a truth that could shatter everything? I decided to start with Clara. I needed answers, and I needed to see her reaction. When she came into the kitchen that morning, humming softly as she prepared breakfast, I felt a strange mix of anger and sadness. How could someone so close to me be hiding such a dark secret? "Clara," I said, my voice steady but firm, "can we talk? There's something I need to ask you." She looked up, her smile faltering for a moment. "Of course, Mom. What's on your mind?" I took a deep breath and pulled the note from my purse, unfolding it carefully. "I found this in Max's jacket pocket. Can you explain what this means?" Her eyes widened as she read the words. For a moment she said nothing. Then with a shaky voice she replied, I don't know what you're talking about." I studied her face, searching for any sign of truth or deception. But all I saw was fear of being caught, fear of losing control. "Clara," I said softly, "this isn't just a note. It's a warning. Something dangerous is happening, and I need to know the truth." She looked away, biting her lip. "I can't tell you. It's complicated." "Complicated how?" I pressed. "Is Max in danger? Is our family in danger?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "I wanted to protect you. I thought if you knew, it would only hurt you." Her words broke my heart. I wanted to believe her, but the doubt lingered. That day, I decided to talk to Max. He deserved to know what I had found. I called him into the living room, the note lying on the coffee table between us. "Max," I began, "I found something in your jacket. Something I think you need to see." He looked at the note, his face paling. "Where did you find this?" "In your jacket pocket. Clara gave me the jacket to wash." He ran his hands through his hair, pacing the room. "I should have told you. I wanted to protect you." "Protect me from what?" I asked, my voice trembling. Max sat down heavily. "There are things going on, things I'm not proud of. Clara and we've made mistakes, but I never wanted to hurt you or anyone." I listened as he explained a tangled web of secrets, financial troubles, hidden debts, and a desperate plan to keep everything from falling apart. The note was a cry for help, a warning that things were spiraling out of control. I felt a mixture of relief and fear. Relief that Max was honest, but fear for what lay ahead. Together, we decided to confront Clara again. This time, with Max by my side. When Clara arrived home that evening, she was surprised to see us waiting. The tension in the room was palpable. "Clara," Max said firmly, "we need to talk. No more secrets." She looked between us, her composure cracking. "I'm sorry. I didn't know how to ask for help." We spent hours talking, unraveling the lies and fears that had kept us apart. It wasn't easy. There were tears, raised voices, and moments of silence heavy with pain. But by the end of the night, something shifted. A fragile thread of trust began to weave between us. In the days that followed, we started to rebuild not just our family, but ourselves. We sought help from counselors, financial advisors, and trusted friends. We faced the consequences of our mistakes head-on, determined to make things right. The journey was long and difficult, but it was also filled with hope. I learned that even in the darkest moments, love can find a way to heal, and sometimes, the greatest shock isn't the secret itself, but the strength it reveals within us. In the weeks that followed our difficult conversation, the atmosphere in our home began to change. The heavy weight of secrets and lies slowly lifted, replaced by a cautious hope. Clara, Max, and I were no longer strangers hiding behind walls of silence. Instead, we were a family trying to heal, to rebuild trust, and to face the future together. But healing is never a straight path. There were days when old wounds reopened, when frustration and fear threatened to undo the progress we had made. Clara struggled with guilt, Max wrestled with shame, and I battled my own doubts about whether forgiveness was truly possible. One evening, as we sat around the dinner table, Clara reached out and took my hand. "Mom," she said softly, "I know I've hurt you. I want to make things right. Please give me a chance." Her words touched me deeply. I saw the sincerity in her eyes, the remorse that had been hidden beneath layers of fear. I squeezed her hand gently. "I want that too, Clara, but it will take time." We agreed to attend family counseling together, a safe space where we could speak openly and honestly with the help of a professional. The sessions were challenging, sometimes painful, but they were also a lifeline. We learned to listen without judgment, to express our feelings without blame, and to understand each other's perspectives. Through counseling, I discovered that Clara's actions were driven by fear and desperation, not malice. She had felt trapped by expectations and overwhelmed by pressures she hadn't shared. Max admitted that he had been too proud to ask for help, choosing instead to hide his struggles. As we peeled back the layers of pain, we found common ground, a shared love for Max, a desire to protect our family, and a commitment to move forward. Outside of therapy, I focused on strengthening my relationship with Max. We spent more time together, sharing meals, going for walks, and talking about everything from work to dreams for the future. I saw the man he was becoming, responsible, caring, and determined to make amends. Clara and I also found moments of connection. We cooked together, laughed over old memories, and supported each other through the tough days. It wasn't always easy, but it was real. One afternoon, Max surprised me with tickets to a concert I had wanted to see for years. "Mom," he said, "you deserve to enjoy life. Let's make new memories." That night, as the music filled the air, I felt a joy I hadn't known in a long time. It was a reminder that even after the darkest storms, the sun can shine again. But the journey wasn't just about healing old wounds. It was also about building a future, one where honesty, respect, and love were the foundation. Max and Clara worked hard to regain my trust, showing through their actions that they were committed to change. They involved me in decisions, shared their challenges openly, and sought support when needed. I, too, learned to let go of control, to accept help, and to embrace vulnerability. I realized that love is not about perfection, but about growth and forgiveness. Together, we faced the challenges ahead with courage and hope. One day, as I looked at the jacket that had started it all, I felt a sense of closure. It was no longer a symbol of secrets and betrayal, but a reminder of resilience and renewal. I folded it carefully and placed it in Max's closet, a silent promise that our family would move forward, stronger, wiser, and united. As the days turned into weeks, the fragile threads of trust we had begun to weave grew stronger. The house, once heavy with unspoken fears and hidden truths, slowly filled with laughter and light again. It wasn't perfect. There were still moments of tension, of doubt, but the foundation was there, built on honesty and a shared commitment to heal. One morning, I found myself sitting in the garden, watching the sunlight dance through the leaves. Max joined me, carrying 2 cups of tea. He handed me one with a shy smile. "Mom, I know I haven't been the son you deserved, but I want to be better. For you, for Clara, and for us." His words touched me deeply. I reached out and took his hand. "Max, I've always loved you. This journey is about finding our way back to each other." Clara soon joined us, her eyes bright with hope. "I'm sorry for everything," she said softly. "I want to be part of this family truly." Together we made plans, not just for the present, but for the future. We talked about vacations, holidays, and simple moments we wanted to share. It was a new beginning, fragile, but full of promise. At work, I found renewed purpose. The perfume company, which had been my pride and joy, became a symbol of resilience. I poured my energy into expanding the brand, creating new scents inspired by the journey I had been on, notes of strength, hope, and renewal. The community noticed the change in me. Friends and colleagues commented on my newfound confidence and warmth. I began mentoring young women in business, sharing not just my professional knowledge, but the lessons I had learned about courage and perseverance. One day, I received a letter from a woman named Sarah. She wrote about her own struggles with family betrayal and how my story had given her strength. Her words moved me deeply. It was a reminder that our stories, no matter how painful, can inspire and heal others. Max and Clara continued to grow, both individually and as a couple. They attended counseling sessions regularly, learning to communicate better and support each other through challenges. I saw the love between them deepen, tempered by honesty and respect. Our family gatherings became occasions of joy rather than tension. We celebrated birthdays, anniversaries, and small victories with genuine smiles and open hearts. But life, as always, had its surprises. One afternoon, Max came to me with a letter. It was from Clara's estranged mother, reaching out to reconnect. The news stirred a mix of emotions, curiosity, hope, and caution. We decided to welcome Clara's mother with open arms, understanding that healing often extends beyond immediate family. The reunion was emotional, filled with tears and laughter, and marked another step in our journey toward wholeness. Through it all, I learned that family is not just about blood or perfect moments. It's about forgiveness, growth, and the willingness to keep trying. I also learned to cherish myself, to honor my own needs and dreams without guilt. One evening, as I sat by the fireplace, I reflected on the path that had brought me here. The jacket in my closet, once a symbol of secrets, now represented resilience and hope. I smiled, knowing that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I was ready, because I had discovered the greatest truth of all: love, when rooted in honesty and respect, can heal even the deepest wounds. And with that love, we can build a future brighter than any past. The days that followed were filled with a mixture of hope and cautious optimism. Our family was slowly mending, but the scars of the past were still visible beneath the surface. I knew that healing would take time, patience, and a lot of love. One afternoon, Max invited me to join him at his office. He wanted to show me something important. As I entered the sleek, modern building, I felt a surge of pride. This was my son, the man who had grown through so much adversity, now standing tall in his career. Max led me to a conference room where a group of his colleagues awaited. They greeted me warmly, and I realized that Max had been sharing parts of our story with them. Not the painful details, but the lessons of resilience and forgiveness. He introduced me as a source of inspiration, a woman who had faced betrayal and come out stronger. I felt a mix of embarrassment and pride as they applauded softly. Max then unveiled a new project he had been working on, a mentorship program for young professionals facing personal challenges. He wanted to create a space where people could find support and guidance, just as we had found in each other. Hearing his vision filled me with hope. It was a reminder that even from pain, something beautiful can grow. After the meeting, Max and I walked through the city streets, talking about the future. He shared his dreams of expanding the program, of making a difference beyond the walls of his office. I listened, feeling a deep connection to the man he was becoming, a man shaped by hardship but driven by compassion. Back at home, Clara and I continued to build our relationship. We spent time together cooking, gardening, and sharing stories. The walls between us were coming down, replaced by understanding and respect. One evening, as we prepared dinner, Clara confided in me about her own struggles, her fears, her regrets, and her hopes for redemption. I listened without judgment, offering support and encouragement. It was a moment of true connection, a turning point in our relationship. As the seasons changed, so did our family. We celebrated holidays with laughter and warmth, creating new traditions that honored both the past and the future. I found joy in the simple moments, watching Max play with his niece, sharing a cup of tea with Clara, tending to my garden in the morning light. Through it all, I held on to the lessons I had learned, the power of forgiveness, the importance of honesty, and the strength that comes from loving oneself. I knew that life would continue to bring challenges, but I was ready to face them with an open heart and a resilient spirit, because I had discovered that even in the darkest times, love can heal and hope can light the way forward. The journey of healing and rebuilding our family was far from easy. There were days when the past seemed to cast a long, dark shadow over everything we tried to build. Old wounds reopened unexpectedly, and the weight of betrayal threatened to pull us back into despair. But each time, Max, Clara, and I made a conscious choice to face those moments together, to lean on the strength we had found in one another, and to keep moving forward. One particularly difficult afternoon, Max and I sat in the living room, the silence between us heavy with unspoken fears and regrets. He looked at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of sorrow, guilt, and determination. "Mom," he began, his voice trembling slightly, "I know I've made mistakes. I've hurt you and Clara in ways I never intended, but I want to make things right. I want to be the son you deserve." His words touched me deeply. I reached out and took his hand, feeling the warmth and sincerity in his grip. "Max, healing takes time. It's not something that happens overnight, But I believe in you. I believe in us. We can get through this, together. Clara soon joined us, her expression softening as she listened to our conversation. I'm sorry for everything, she said quietly, her voice filled with remorse. I want to be part of this family truly. I want to earn your trust and love. Together we made a pact, a promise to be honest with each other, to communicate openly, and to support one another through the ups and downs. It was a commitment to build a future based on trust, respect, and love, no matter how difficult the path might be. In the weeks that followed, we began attending family counseling sessions. The process was challenging, forcing us to confront painful truths and old wounds that had been buried for too long. But it was also a space of growth and understanding. We learned to listen without judgment, to express our feelings without blame, and to forgive not just each other, but ourselves as well. The counselor helped us see that healing is not linear. There would be setbacks, moments of anger, and times when the pain felt overwhelming. But with patience and commitment, we could rebuild the bonds that had been broken. Outside of therapy, I found solace in my passions. Painting became a refuge, a way to express the complex emotions swirling inside me. Each brushstroke was a step toward healing, a release of pain, and a celebration of resilience. The colors on my canvas reflected my journey: deep blues for sorrow, fiery reds for anger, soft greens for hope, and bright yellows for joy. I also deepened my involvement in advocacy work. Sharing my story and helping others who face similar struggles gave me a renewed sense of purpose and fulfillment. I spoke at community events, connected with support groups, and worked tirelessly to raise awareness about family betrayal, emotional abuse, and the power of healing. One day, I received a heartfelt letter from a young woman named Emily. She wrote about her own journey, how my story had inspired her to stand up against family secrets and reclaim her voice. Her words moved me deeply, reminding me that our stories have the power to heal not only ourselves, but others as well. Emily's courage gave me hope that the cycle of pain could be broken, one story at a time. As the months passed, our family grew stronger. We celebrated milestones together, birthdays, anniversaries, and simple moments of joy that once seemed impossible. The laughter that had once felt distant and fragile now filled our home with warmth and light. I realized that while the scars of the past would always be a part of us, they no longer defined us. We were more than our pain. We were a family reborn, wiser, more compassionate, and deeply connected. One evening, as I sat by the fireplace, I reflected on the path that had brought me here. The jacket in my closet, the one that had started this entire journey, no longer symbolized secrets and betrayal. Instead, it represented resilience, hope, and the power of truth. I smiled, knowing that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I was ready. Because I had discovered the greatest truth of all: love, when rooted in honesty and respect, can heal even the deepest wounds. And with that love, we can build a future brighter than any past. Looking ahead, I felt a profound sense of hope. The future was unwritten, full of possibilities and promise. I was ready to embrace it with an open heart and a resilient spirit. And as I stepped forward, I carried with me the lessons of the past, the pain, the growth, and the unwavering truth that I am worthy of love, respect, and happiness. The days that followed were a mixture of hope and uncertainty. While the wounds of the past still lingered, the promise of healing gave us strength to face each new day. Max, Clara, and I were learning to navigate this new chapter of our lives, one built on honesty, forgiveness, and a shared commitment to rebuild what had been broken. One morning, as the sun filtered softly through the curtains, I found myself sitting at the kitchen table, sipping tea and reflecting on how far we had come. The house, once heavy with tension and silence, now echoed with laughter and conversation. It was a fragile peace, but peace nonetheless. Max joined me, his eyes bright with determination. "Mom," he said, "I want to thank you for believing in me, for standing by me even when things were hard. I know I haven't been the son you deserved, but I'm trying to be better." His words touched me deeply. I reached out and took his hand, feeling the warmth and sincerity in his grip. "Max, we all make mistakes. What matters is that we learn from them and keep moving forward. I'm proud of you." Clara soon entered the room, carrying a tray of freshly baked cookies. She smiled warmly, a genuine smile that reached her eyes. "I'm grateful for your forgiveness, and I want to be part of this family, truly." Together, we made plans, not just for the present, but for the future. We talked about vacations, holidays, and simple moments we wanted to share. It was a new beginning, fragile but full of promise. At work, I found renewed purpose. The perfume company, which had been my pride and joy, became a symbol of resilience. I poured my energy into expanding the brand, creating new scents inspired by the journey I'd been on, notes of strength, hope, and renewal. The community noticed the change in me. Friends and colleagues commented on my newfound confidence and warmth. I began mentoring young women in business, sharing not just my professional knowledge, but the lessons I had learned about courage and perseverance. One day, I received a letter from a woman named Sarah. She wrote about her own struggles with family betrayal and how my story had given her strength. Her words moved me deeply. It was a reminder that our stories, no matter how painful, can inspire and heal others. Max and Clara continued to grow, both individually and as a couple. They attended counseling sessions regularly, learning to communicate better and support each other through challenges. I saw the love between them deepen, tempered by honesty and respect. Our family gatherings became occasions of joy rather than tension. We celebrated birthdays, anniversaries, and small victories with genuine smiles and open hearts. But life, as always, had its surprises. One afternoon, Max came to me with a letter. It was from Clara's estranged mother, reaching out to reconnect. The news stirred a mix of emotions, curiosity, hope, and caution. We decided to welcome Clara's mother with open arms, understanding that healing often extends beyond immediate family. The reunion was emotional, filled with tears and laughter, and marked another step in our journey toward wholeness. Through it all, I learned that family is not just about blood or perfect moments. It's about forgiveness, growth, and the willingness to keep trying. I also learned to cherish myself, to honor my own needs and dreams without guilt. One evening, as I sat by the fireplace, I reflected on the path that had brought me here. The jacket in my closet, once a symbol of secrets, now represented resilience and hope. I smiled, knowing that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I was ready because I had discovered the greatest truth of all: love, when rooted in honesty and respect, can heal even the deepest wounds. And with that love, we can build a future brighter than any past. The seasons changed, and with them, our family grew stronger. The wounds that once seemed so deep began to heal, replaced by new memories and shared experiences. It wasn't always easy. There were moments of doubt, frustration, and even anger, but the commitment we made to each other held firm. One crisp autumn afternoon, Max and I took a walk through the park near our home. The leaves crunched beneath our feet, and the cool breeze carried the scent of pine and earth. We talked about everything: the past, the present, and the future. Max shared his hopes and fears, his dreams of building a life filled with honesty and love. I listened, feeling a deep sense of pride and hope. This was the son I had always believed in, the one who had faced his mistakes and was determined to grow. Clara joined us later, her laughter ringing through the trees. She had changed too, becoming more open and vulnerable. We spent the afternoon sharing stories, planning holidays, and simply enjoying each other's company. Back at home, I found joy in the small things: a cup of tea in the morning, the warmth of the fireplace, the quiet moments spent reading or painting. These simple pleasures grounded me, reminding me that life is made up of countless little moments that, when woven together, create a tapestry of meaning. I continued to pour my heart into my work. The perfume company flourished, its new scents inspired by the journey I had been on, notes of resilience, hope, and renewal. The community embraced the brand, and I found fulfillment in knowing that my passion could touch others. My advocacy work expanded as well. I spoke at events, connected with support groups, and worked tirelessly to raise awareness about family betrayal and healing. Sharing my story became a mission, a way to empower others to find their own strength. One evening, as I prepared for a speaking engagement, I received a call from a young woman named Emily. She shared her own story of family secrets and the courage she found in hearing mine. Her words moved me deeply, a reminder that our stories have the power to heal not only ourselves, but others as well. As the years passed, our family continued to grow and evolve. We celebrated milestones with joy and gratitude, cherishing the bonds we had rebuilt. The laughter that once seemed distant now filled our home, a testament to the power of forgiveness and love. I often thought about the jacket, the catalyst for this journey. It was no longer a symbol of secrets and betrayal, but a reminder of resilience and hope. It hung in Max's closet, a silent witness to the strength we had found together. Looking ahead, I felt a profound sense of peace. Life would continue to bring challenges, but I was ready to face whatever came with courage, grace, and an open heart. Because I had learned that love, when rooted in honesty and respect, can heal even the deepest wounds, and with that love, we can build a future brighter than any past. The journey of healing was not a straight path, but a winding road filled with unexpected turns. There were days when the past seemed to creep back into our lives, casting shadows over the progress we had made. Old fears and doubts would resurface, testing our resolve and commitment to each other. One such day, I found myself sitting alone in the quiet of my living room, the weight of memories pressing heavily on my heart. I thought about the moment I discovered the note in Max's jacket pocket, the moment that changed everything. The shock, the confusion, the pain, it all felt so raw, even now. But I also thought about how far we had come since then. The conversations, the tears, the laughter, the moments of vulnerability that had brought us closer together. I realized that healing is not about forgetting the past, but about learning to live with it, to grow from it, and to find peace despite it. Max walked in quietly, sensing my mood. He sat beside me and took my hand in his. "Mom," he said softly, "I know this hasn't been easy for any of us, but I want you to know how much I appreciate your strength. You've been my rock." His words warmed my heart. I squeezed his hand and smiled. "And you've been mine, Max. We're in this together." Clara joined us, bringing a tray of tea and cookies. She sat down, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and determination. "I'm grateful for your forgiveness," she said. "I want to keep building this family one day at a time." Together we made plans, not just for the present, but for the future. We talked about vacations, holidays, and simple moments we wanted to share. It was a new beginning, fragile but full of promise. At work, I found renewed purpose. The perfume company, which had been my pride and joy, became a symbol of resilience. I poured my energy into expanding the brand, creating new scents inspired by the journey I had been on, notes of strength, hope, and renewal. The community noticed the change in me. Friends and colleagues commented on my newfound confidence and warmth. I began mentoring young women in business, sharing not just my professional knowledge, but the lessons I had learned about courage and perseverance. One day, I received a letter from a woman named Sarah. She wrote about her own struggles with family betrayal and how my story had given her strength. Her words moved me deeply. It was a reminder that our stories, no matter how painful, can inspire and heal others. Max and Clara continued to grow, both individually and as a couple. They attended counseling sessions regularly, learning to communicate better and support each other through challenges. I saw the love between them deepen, tempered by honesty and respect. Our family gatherings became occasions of joy rather than tension. We celebrated birthdays, anniversaries, and small victories with genuine smiles and open hearts. But life, as always, had its surprises. One afternoon, Max came to me with a letter. It was from Clara's estranged mother, reaching out to reconnect. The news stirred a mix of emotions, curiosity, hope, and caution. We decided to welcome Clara's mother with open arms, understanding that healing often extends beyond immediate family. The reunion was emotional, filled with tears and laughter, and marked another step in our journey toward wholeness. Through it all, I learned that family is not just about blood or perfect moments. It's about forgiveness, growth, and the willingness to keep trying. I also learned to cherish myself, to honor my own needs and dreams without guilt. One evening, as I sat by the fireplace, I reflected on the path that had brought me here. The jacket in my closet, once a symbol of secrets, now represented resilience and hope. I smiled, knowing that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I was ready, because I had discovered the greatest truth of all: love, when rooted in honesty and respect, can heal even the deepest wounds. And with that love, we can build a future brighter than any past. The months that followed were a testament to the power of resilience and forgiveness. Our family, once fractured by secrets and betrayal, was slowly knitting itself back together. The process was neither quick nor easy, but every small step forward was a victory worth celebrating. One crisp morning, I found myself standing in the kitchen, preparing breakfast as sunlight streamed through the window. Max entered, his face tired but hopeful. "Mom," he said, "I've been thinking a lot about everything. I want to make sure we don't just survive this, but that we thrive." His words filled me with warmth. I smiled and handed him a cup of coffee. "That's all I've ever wanted, Max, for us to be strong, together." Clara joined us, her eyes bright with determination. "I'm committed to this family," she said, "to rebuilding trust and creating new memories." Together, we began planning a family trip, a chance to step away from the stresses of daily life and reconnect in a new setting. We chose a quiet cabin by the lake, surrounded by trees and the gentle sounds of nature. It was a place where we could breathe, laugh, and heal. The trip was filled with moments of joy and reflection. We cooked meals together, took long walks along the water's edge, and shared stories by the fire. There were times when old wounds surfaced, but we faced them with honesty and compassion. One evening, as the sun set in a blaze of orange and pink, Max turned to me and said, "Mom, thank you for never giving up on us. Your strength has been our anchor." Tears welled in my eyes. "And your love has been my light." Back home, life settled into a new rhythm. I continued to pour my heart into my work, expanding the perfume brand with scents inspired by the journey we had been on, notes of hope, renewal, and resilience. The community embraced the brand, and I found fulfillment in knowing that my passion could touch others. My advocacy work also grew. I spoke at events, connected with support groups, and worked tirelessly to raise awareness about family betrayal and healing. Sharing my story became a mission, a way to empower others to find their own strength. One day, I received a message from a young woman named Emily. She shared how my story had inspired her to confront her own family secrets and seek healing. Her courage moved me deeply, reminding me that our stories have the power to heal not only ourselves, but others as well. As the years passed, our family continued to grow and evolve. We celebrated milestones with joy and gratitude, cherishing the bonds we had rebuilt. The laughter that once seemed distant now filled our home, a testament to the power of forgiveness and love. I often thought about the jacket, the catalyst for this journey. It was no longer a symbol of secrets and betrayal, but a reminder of resilience and hope. It hung in Max's closet, a silent witness to the strength we had found together. Looking ahead, I felt a profound sense of peace. Life would continue to bring challenges, but I was ready to face whatever came with courage, grace, and an open heart. Because I had learned that love, when rooted in honesty and respect, can heal even the deepest wounds, and with that love, we can build a future brighter than any past. The final chapter of this journey was not just about closure, but about new beginnings. As I sat quietly in my favorite chair, the soft glow of the evening sun casting long shadows across the room, I reflected on everything that had transpired. The jacket that had once been a simple garment had become a symbol of secrets uncovered, of pain endured, and of strength reclaimed. I thought about Max, the son I had raised with all my heart. The boy who had grown into a man capable of facing his own demons and choosing a path of honesty and healing. I thought about Clara, whose mistakes had nearly torn us apart, but who had also shown a willingness to change and seek forgiveness. And I thought about myself, how far I had come from the woman who found that note in the jacket pocket to the woman who now sat with peace in her heart. Life, I realized, is a series of chapters. Some are filled with joy, others with sorrow. But each chapter teaches us something valuable about who we are and who we can become. The pain of betrayal had been one of the hardest lessons, but it had also been the catalyst for growth and transformation. I had learned that love is not always easy. It requires courage, patience, and sometimes the willingness to let go of what we thought should be in order to embrace what is. I had learned that forgiveness is not about forgetting, but about freeing ourselves from the chains of resentment. And most importantly, I had learned that self-love is the foundation upon which all other love is built. In the days that followed, our family continued to heal. We celebrated small victories and supported each other through setbacks. We created new memories that were not overshadowed by the past, but illuminated by hope. The laughter that once seemed distant now filled our home, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. I also continued my work as an advocate, sharing my story to inspire others to find their own strength. I spoke at events, connected with support groups, and worked tirelessly to raise awareness about family betrayal and healing. Each time I shared my journey, I was reminded of the power of vulnerability and the importance of community. One evening, as I prepared for a speaking engagement, I received a message from a young woman named Sarah. She wrote about her own struggles and how my story had given her the courage to confront her family and seek healing. Her words touched me deeply, a reminder that our stories have the power to heal not only ourselves, but others as well. As I looked toward the future, I felt a profound sense of peace and gratitude. The road had been long and difficult, but it had led me to a place of strength and hope. I was ready to embrace whatever came next with an open heart and a resilient spirit, because I knew that no matter what challenges life might bring, I had the power to face them. I had the love of my family, the support of my friends, and most importantly, the love of myself. And that, I realized, was the greatest gift of all.